Whenever God wants to transform someone, he introduces a vision. The goal of Moses' spiritual leadership is nation building.
Whenever we talk about poverty, especially in Africa, all over the world,
Staying consistent. Be consistent
we always equate it to someone having,
about the impact, about everything that God achieved with Joshua.
some level of personal assets or having money in their bank account. Okay,
so what it means is that
when you actually look at the Bible, especially,
you have a leader who pursues early success.
Whenever God wants to transform someone, he introduces a vision. The goal of Moses' spiritual leadership is nation building.
Whenever we talk about poverty, especially in Africa, all over the world,
Staying consistent. Be consistent
we always equate it to someone having,
about the impact, about everything that God achieved with Joshua.
some level of personal assets or having money in their bank account. Okay,
so what it means is that
when you actually look at the Bible, especially,
you have a leader who pursues early success.
Whenever God wants to transform someone, he introduces a vision. The goal of Moses' spiritual leadership is nation building.
Whenever we talk about poverty, especially in Africa, all over the world,
Staying consistent. Be consistent
we always equate it to someone having,
about the impact, about everything that God achieved with Joshua.
some level of personal assets or having money in their bank account. Okay,
so what it means is that
when you actually look at the Bible, especially,
you have a leader who pursues early success.
Whenever God wants to transform someone, he introduces a vision. The goal of Moses' spiritual leadership is nation building.
Whenever we talk about poverty, especially in Africa, all over the world,
Staying consistent. Be consistent
we always equate it to someone having,
about the impact, about everything that God achieved with Joshua.
some level of personal assets or having money in their bank account. Okay,
so what it means is that
when you actually look at the Bible, especially,
you have a leader who pursues early success.
Whenever God wants to transform someone, he introduces a vision. The goal of Moses' spiritual leadership is nation building.
Whenever we talk about poverty, especially in Africa, all over the world,
Staying consistent. Be consistent
Godson, welcome joining us. Can you hear me now? Can you confirm you can hear me, Godson? We are happy to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Please, if you are online, I would like you to, go to the comment section, introduce yourself, tell us where you are joining from, okay? And then I would also like to know if you are joining us for the first time, if you are joining us today for your first time, please, you can also let us know when you introduce yourself that you are joining for the first time and where you are joining from, okay? And please, as you are joining, I would like you to, begin to share to your friends. Take the link and share. We're about to start the session. I would like you to, go ahead and share on your different platforms. Invite your friends, invite your family. We are going to have a wonderful conversation today. And you might not know, you might be sharing it with someone who, it's going to be a blessing in their life. So just go ahead and share. Okay. Okay, how about now? Okay, Chinonso joining us all the way from Lagos. Welcome, Chinonso. We are happy to see you today. Is the sound better now? Okay, Chinonso is saying the sound is very low. Oh, wow. How about now? How about now? Can you guys hear me now? How about now? How about now? Can you guys hear me now? Okay, awesome, better. Okay, the sound is better, loud and clear. Okay, thank you, Lorenzo. Thank you, Peruzzi. It's well. Thank you for joining us, loud and clear. Yes, got so much better. Thank you very much. I'm happy you guys we are able to join the conversation today. We are going to be kicking off in the next 2 minutes. So I would like you to just go ahead and share this link to someone. You can share it on your status. You can share it on your different platforms. We are going to have a wonderful conversation. I know that it will not just, impact you. It's going to impact anyone you are inviting into this session today. So please go ahead, share, invite your friends as we dive into it. Thank you, and welcome once again. 2 weeks ago, we started a conversation on how to build your dream and avoid failure. Okay. It's a conversation that is very dear to my heart. I know it is something also that is very dear to your heart. Each and every one of us, as long as you are on earth and you are alive, there is a dream in your heart. There is something that you are passionate about.
there is something you want to build, there is a difference you want to make in your own life, in the life of others, in your society. Okay, so each and every one of us at some point in our life, we are constantly pursuing or living up to a dream. Okay, many of us are achieving our dreams, but some are not achieving their dreams. Okay, and the goal of this conversation is to help us understand, what makes dream work and what also makes dreams to fail. Okay, there's something that you are pursuing, there's something that God has placed in your heart to do, there's a dream that you want to accomplish. The goal of this conversation today is to help you, to identify what makes dream work and what makes your dream to fail. Okay, someone said that success leaves a trail and also does failure. Okay, so if you can be able to see and identify the trails of failure, you can almost understand that this path is going to lead to failure. Okay, the same way, if you can identify the trails of success, you can be rest assured that when you follow this path, you are going to achieve success. And that is how life is designed. Life is designed to be predictable. Life is designed with principles, with laws, with rules to guide our activities, so that you can almost wake up every day and tell yourself, this is the course I want to go. This is the direction I want to go. And life is going to allow you to do that. Okay? So part of what we are doing in this series, and we've been doing in all our teachings, is to help us understand those key principles that govern dreams, those principles that, govern and empower you to achieve your dreams, and also the things that you need to avoid in order not to find your dreams in failure. Okay, so if you are joining us, remember, use the chat to introduce yourself, tell us where you are joining from, and if you've not shared this link, I will encourage you to go ahead, share with someone. You might be helping someone. Okay, somebody might just be sitting down there worried, discouraged, about life, and this might be the message that they will hear, to bring them out of the phase where they have found themselves. So go ahead and share. Okay, go ahead and share so that people can be part of this conversation and they can learn from what we are sharing today. Okay, so I want to welcome you once again to today's teaching. It has been a 2-week series. The first series, the first topic we did on the series is to help you identify your inner belief system, your inner mode, okay, your inner mindset, which is very critical for your success. Okay, so 2 weeks ago our conversation was centered around knowing and understanding your mode. Okay, because your dream is supported or powered by your mode. So oftentimes people have things they want to be, things they want to become, things they want to do, but their internal framework does not support their aspirations and their dreams, and that is why they are unable to do it. And an example I gave to that is if you have been to a place where they are molding bricks, or if you've been to a bread factory, where they are baking bread. You see that first of all there is a mold. Okay, and then whether sand in the case of bricks or flour in the case of making bread, what you discover is that there is already a mold. So the mold determines the shape, it determines the size, and whatever goes into the mold is the output that you are going to produce. So most times why we are struggling to try to make external changes without a corresponding internal mold, we find out that our dreams are constantly being aborted. Okay, I call it a framework. Okay, there is a framework that your mind runs on. There's a framework that your belief system works on. It helps you to see life in a certain way. It helps you to interpret your experiences in a certain way, and it makes you take actions in certain ways. So irrespective of the kind of dream that you want to have, irrespective of the kind of future that you want to build, if your internal mode does not correspond with that future, what you realize is that you are going to struggle, in achieving your dream. The second thing we discussed last week is about the power and importance of capacity. Okay, And I said there were two key things I said last week that I would like to repeat before I move into today's session. One of them is that the size of your dream is determined by God, but the fulfillment of your dream is determined by your capacity. Okay, your ability to build within yourself, the competence, the skill, the character required to deliver your dream is solely your responsibility. Why God can inspire you to dream, why you can inspire yourself to dream, why you can believe in a preferred future that you want to build, it is also very, very important that you understand that your capacity has a role, to play in you achieving your dream. And the second thing I mentioned last week is that God gives dream, but you must build the vessel strong enough to carry it. Okay, so it means that the dream has been given. Okay, the vision has been given. It has been planted in your heart, but it is your responsibility to build your capacity, to build yourself, to the point that you have the skill, the knowledge, the understanding to deliver the dream. So it's not just enough to dream, you have to build your capacity. Okay, so the first part was what you need to restructure your mindset. Okay, the second one is that you need to build your capacity. And then the third one, which I'm going to share today, I identify it as one of the gaps that make us, to struggle in terms of achieving our dream, is the aspect of your association, your relationship. Okay, I remember, while I was in the university, there was a popular saying, that will always tell you that your network is the size of your net worth. Okay, so it means that your income level in life is determined by the relationships you keep, your association. Okay, and being an introverted person, it was difficult for me to build relationships. It was difficult for me to go out of my comfort zone, put myself in a place where I have to be having conversations with people or doing things with people. And I believe that for a larger aspect of my life, it quite affected me. Okay, and I find that saying not just true but also powerful, that many of us struggle in delivering our dream, not because our dream does not fit into our mold, not because that we have not built the capacity for that dream, but sometimes because we are simply alone. Okay, everything about the dream is in your head, everything about the vision is in your heart. You don't have a support system around you. You don't have individuals who understand the dream, the vision, and they are able to work together to help to deliver that dream. That is where many of us found ourselves. So sometimes it's not that you are struggling with capital, it's not that you are struggling with idea, it's not that you are struggling with the things you need, the resources, to make you more productive in order to deliver the dream. Most times it might just simply be that you are alone, or that you are in the wrong association. Okay, so all around life you see the patterns. I'm going to share some examples with you, and I'm going to also share some examples from my life. I remember when we had an event in Enugu, in Nigeria. Back then in Nigeria, I was holding a conference. Initially we wanted to use a small hall that can accommodate about 100 people, and then we started planning the events, started doing the publicity, and for some reason, people started getting interested in the conversation. And one day, I think I was in the office, a friend of mine called me and said, please, because the venue where we are supposed to have the event, there's a big hall and there's a small hall. And the guy now called me to ask me, said, this event, is he holding in the small hall or the big hall? I said, wow, that's a good question. We are actually having the event in a small hall. And the guy said, no. Many people are interested in this event. We have to switch to the bigger hall. I said, oh, wow. And then that's how I went to my friend who is helping me to plan the event. And I asked him, so what do you think? Should we switch to a bigger event? He thought about it and said, this is a good idea. I think we should do it. And that's how we ended up switching to the big hall. we ended up expanding the event, to the level that I never even imagined it when I started. Okay, now that event drew people I never knew that would even come to the event, including the governor of the state was at the event. Was never in the plan, was never in anywhere in my thoughts thinking of making the event to be that huge or to be that powerful. Okay, but you can see that the relationship, the people who were involved, the people who were around me at the time of betting that vision were critical in influencing my mind to think bigger than where I was. Okay, so you see that in as much as the dream was in my heart, in as much as I have built the capacity to deliver the dream. This was not my first event. I started doing events in my university days, and of course I understand the basics of doing a successful event. So the capacity was there, the knowledge was there. What I needed to do in terms of the vision was there. I knew the vision was possible. But you see, that added layer of relationship, that added layer of association expanded it to something that even me never thought it was possible. And if I look at different areas of my life where most times I've struggled to carry a vision, I've struggled to carry a dream, I can trace it to key associations, key relationships around me saying, go, you can do this. Go, you can achieve this. Go, you have something for this generation. The right people around a vision encourages the vision not only to succeed, but to grow beyond proportion. The wrong people around a dream will keep it small and sometimes can even destroy a dream. So why it is important that you are changing the mindset to correspond with the dream that you are building, why it's as well good that you are building the capacity, the association, the people that you surround yourself matters. Okay? Dreams don't grow in a vacuum. They grow in an environment of influence. It means that you are going to find yourself in a place where different individuals are going to be contributing to that vision, contributing to that dream until it becomes successful. Okay, and let me say this: the people closest to you at the point of your dreaming or at the point of your betting the dream shape your thinking, and ultimately the reality of that dream. Oftentimes, I'm sure many of you have experienced it. You have a dream in your heart and you think, oh, maybe I think I should do this. And then you meet someone, you share the dream with the person and say, please, what do you think about this? What do you think about the idea? Now, their understanding, their capacity, their level, of growth and experience will go a long way to, influence whatever advice that they are going to give to you. Okay? So sometimes we have good dreams and good ideas. But because we share it with the wrong people, because we share it with the wrong individuals, wrong not necessarily that they don't want you to achieve the vision, but they have not built the capacity to see at the level that you are seeing. Most times what will happen is that the vision is going to suffer. Okay, the book of Proverbs 13 verse 20 puts it this way, and I want to read it for you. It said, he that walks with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Okay, he said, he that walks with the wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. So it means that it's not just enough to say that I don't want to feel isolated. I want to associate with others in order to accomplish my vision. Okay? Why that is good and important, you must also understand that it is very, very vital that you associate with the right people. You associate with the right individuals. Somewhere, I think the book of Psalm, where he was talking about that the righteous is like a tree, planted by the river. Before he started talking about that, he said that a man is blessed who does not, sit in a gathering of the scornful or a gathering of sinners. What happens is that your association, okay, affect your thinking, affect your habits, and ultimately affect your destiny. So it's not enough to say, okay, I'm a dreamer. It's not enough to, build your capacity, go out of your comfort zone to, develop yourself based on the dream that you want to achieve. Okay? Why that is important, you must also understand that your association plays a very vital role. Okay, let me say this, and it's a line I believe you can write down. Your dream will rise or fall to the level of your association. Imagine during that conference when the idea to scale up came up. Imagine, when the thoughts to do. In fact, it was during the planning that one of the guys who we are helping to plan said, did you invite the governor to this event? I turned to him, I said, Governor. He said, yes. This event is growing big. I think you should invite the governor. So you see, that idea was being amplified. That idea was being magnified, was taken to different proportions and different dimensions because of the quality of counsel around me. And I can trace it to different things. I do a lot of things. And sometimes someone will ask me, said, how are you able to do all the things that you do? How are you able to sleep? How are you able to manage? And the truth of the matter is, when I look at the things that I'm doing that are quite successful, what I see happening is that I have successful team around it. I have successful individuals, okay? So because of the quality of the individuals involved in a vision, someone said, give a great idea to a mediocre team and they will make it mediocre, okay? But take a mediocre idea and give to a great team and they will turn it into something great. I've experienced it in my journeys of leadership, okay? I've seen myself in certain environments, in certain spaces where I am working with a group of men or group of individuals. I'm sharing a vision. I'm saying, can we do this? Can we get this thing done? And everybody is dragging their feet. You are pushing hard. You are trying to make everything work and it doesn't seem to be working, okay? And then you take the same idea, the same way it is, okay, and move it to a set of individuals. And then it becomes like a wildfire because the association, the quality of your association, how wise your association is, goes a long way to affect the way you dream. Because it shapes your conversation. It shapes the things you interact with. It shapes the things that you discuss. Okay? Do you have people around you that force you to achieve your dream? Or do you just have people who accept you the way you are, accept your status quo? In fact, when you hang around people, what that relationship does to you will tell you whether this is something meaningful for me or something that will lead to my destruction. Okay? I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday. She's a lawyer. One day we were talking, we were sharing ideas, concerning her business, and I just gave her an idea. Even forgotten about it. I didn't know she went ahead and implemented the idea. And finally, spoke to me about it and said, oh, this. I said, wow, okay. It was just like a small event, small gathering. And then from there, it opened her up into a very big partnership. And then she called me yesterday. She was saying, thank you for, sharing that with me. And, thank you for, the fact that we actually thought about this and I acted on it, and look at the doors it has opened for me. Okay? And while I think over that conversation, in as much as I would say, okay, yes, a meaningful relationship with me influenced something positive in her life, it's also important to note that there are many people also who receive ideas who were not able to act on it. And in my mind, I was saying, but you did this, you made it happen. Okay, you took the advice, you ran with it, you delivered the dream, even being in circumstances that will even make her unable to achieve the dream. She persevered, stayed on it until the dream became a success. And what happens is that today she's moving to, greater level of purpose, greater level in her dream, simply because of the quality of mind that is surrounding her venture. I've also seen myself, associate with people, and when I associate with them, I discover that, they start receiving energy, they start receiving direction, they start receiving boosts to do what they don't used to do. In fact, how I know that a relationship should hang around me is how I'm able to influence that relationship to achieve something bigger. Okay? Usually, I will just keep dragging because I don't want to give up on people. I want to inspire them towards greatness. But I've also often understood that when someone refuses to be inspired, most often times you might delay that relationship thinking that something great or something powerful is going to come out of it. But most times you discover that nothing comes out of it, because there's something within the individual that must aspire towards greatness for greatness to happen. Okay, so your association can inspire greatness. Your association can determine whether your dream is going to be possible or not. So why it's important to dream, why the most powerful thing on earth for every human being is, in fact, what separates humans from animals is the fact that we can dream, and build a world that we desire. Okay, very, very powerful. But it is more also powerful that you surround that vision, that you surround that venture with the right people who are passionate about what you are doing, who have the required skill and capacity, the wisdom to contribute to what you are doing so that they can become successful. Okay? So the company you keep, they are the silent force behind your success or your failure. Okay? The company you keep, they are the silent force behind your success or your failure. Okay? When you are trying to achieve your success, imagine your team as people who hold the ladder of success for you. Okay? So how strong they are, how strong the ladder is, would determine how far you are going to climb. Okay? So if you have people who are uninterested in holding the ladder, if you have people who don't even know how to hold the ladder, who don't have the competence, the knowledge required to keep that ladder up while you climb, then what is going to happen is that you will not be able to achieve the dreams that you want to achieve. Okay? So the wrong people will drain your dream. The right people will multiply your dream. Okay? The wrong people will drain your dream. They discourage you. I remember the very first time, I met someone, I said I want to run for election as a student, and the person, started tearing me down. He said, have you had any leadership position before in your life? I said, no. I said, okay, as a student, have you had any position as a student, before now? I said, no. He said, do you know how to speak? I never considered myself a very good public speaker. In fact, one of the things that, stopped me from appearing in public for so many years is the fact that I never saw myself as somebody who spoke well. Okay? A very long time, I know I have a strong accent that is connected to my tribe, okay, the Igbo tribe. Each time I talk, I always feel that I have a very strong accent, and most times it discourages me to come out. And the person was just amplifying all those weaknesses. He said, look at this, you don't know this. Look at this, you don't have this. Look at this, look at... And by the time they were done talking, I was very down and discouraged. In fact, I gave up on that dream. But what happened was that as soon as I changed that environment, met with some kind of people, some kind of individuals. I shared it with some of my friends. They found it very interesting. They said, when are we starting? We need to do this. They started contributing ideas. They started saying, okay, let's take you around. I remember one of my friends, I still, have contact with him. He took me to someone that time and told the person, this young man wants to run for SUG president. And the man gave me 5,000 naira. I cannot forget such experiences. So you see, why your dream might be struggling at a particular time and season is that probably you are facing the wrong relationships. Okay? The same dream, you share it with someone, the person feels like, oh, you don't have anything in you to accomplish this dream. You take it to another group of persons, they feel, wow, this is the best idea you have ever thought of. Can we start? When are we starting? Okay? So the quality of individuals around your dream will determine how far you are going to go with that dream. Okay? So whether you know it or not, your relationships play a tremendous role in your life. Even the casual relationships, the one you keep for fun, the one you just sometimes you call and then you are chatting. I was discussing with someone just 2 days ago, and while we were talking, I said something on the phone. I knew it was intentional. Somehow, while I was having that conversation, I sensed in my heart that I needed to go towards that direction. Not just pleasantries and greetings, and I moved and I started saying some tremendous things. And then later, the person sent me a message the following day. I said, do you know that after that conversation that sounded casual, I could not sleep till almost 3 a.m. I kept on pondering. And the person started asking me more. I started pouring out more. And the person was like, this is mind blowing. Now, what happens is that there are casual conversations, things that you might just call casual conversations, but you have it every day. If someone around you constantly have casual conversations with you, and there is no opportunity to say things that build you up, to say things that inspire you, to say things that makes you uncomfortable to begin to do something better, you might not be with the right circle. You must always find yourself. I have friends that once I call them, I must be energized. We can't have 10 minutes conversation or 15 minutes conversation. We're already talking dreams. We're already talking visions. We're already talking ideas. We're already talking the next steps. When you surround yourself with wise people, naturally what happens is that you start becoming wise. When you surround yourself with foolish people, what happens is that it starts affecting the way you think, the way you interpret life, the actions or the inactions, that you are going to take. And then most times it begins to regulate the quality or the level of your dream. Okay? So most times, like I know I've talked about grace being transferable. How grace is transferred is through association. Through association. You associate with certain kinds of individuals. Some things all of a sudden starts becoming easy. You associate with certain kind of individuals, you keep struggling. Okay? There are some people that when I'm with them, when I'm working with them, ideas just keeps coming. While we are thinking of this, we're already acting. But there are some people you have to drag. You have to do this one. You have to explain. Why it is good to build people to your level, you must keep it balanced. Okay? There are 3 levels of relationship that must be in your life. You must have relationship with mentors, people who are your seniors, who are, doing things, extraordinary things. They are already living the dream that you want to live. Then there are your colleagues, probably the ones you spend most time with, working on that dream, working on that vision. They must be able to inspire you. And then there are people that you are helping to bring up to the level where you are, to bring up to the level that they can even surpass where you are. You must keep it balanced. When you have people you are bringing up more than the associates that you are working with in your dream, or the people who are higher, who are supposed to inspire you, you will keep your life unbalanced. That means you must keep it balanced. You must make sure that the dream is supported by people who can give you advice, powerful advice that will make it work, your colleagues that support you through the process, and then those who are learning from you. Okay? So if you look at biblical examples, okay, you will find out that, for instance, Moses had Joshua. Okay? He had Aaron and Hur. And you will see that these people will constantly support him. Even when there were heightened criticism, even when there was as if, that there was a leadership breakdown, some people said, no, we want to return to Egypt. There were still some group of men who said, no, we stand by Moses. We stand with his leadership, and we believe that whatever the call of God upon his life is, that we are here to support and make it work. You find out with David and his mighty men. Okay? In fact, one of the scriptures that puzzled me was the day David sat down and he was maybe casually having a conversation, but he was thirsty. And he just opened his mouth and said that he's testing water, from the river. He mentioned the river. And the Bible said that 3 of his men broke through the camp of Philistines, fought through the camp of Philistines, brought water for David to drink. And David could not drink it. He lost his appetite. The Bible said that he poured the water. He said that if he drinks it, that he's drinking the blood of men. And what happened was that he had some committed individuals who had surrounded him, that almost anything he spoke became a law. Whatever he releases, they are so committed, they are so empowered, they are so fortified to make it happen. Okay? You need those kind of individuals in your life. Okay? Jesus had his 12 disciples. Okay? So the ultimate aspect of your dream is the fact that while you have built the mindset and continue to build the mindset, while you have built the capacity, the knowledge, which these things are continuous process, you need to also surround yourself with the right people. You know, we have a word we call it the dream team. It's something that is very popular, you know, in the world of sports. The dream team. Who are the dream team? The dream team specifically symbolizes people, men and women, you know, who are coming together to work on a goal with the very intention of winning. With the very intention of winning. Okay, so you see that in life and leadership, your dream is not just about your talent. It's not just the fact that you have the internal mode, or that you have built the capacity, or that you have the skill, you know, the technical know-how to get it done. No, there is something about having a team that is in alignment, that shares the same trust and shares the same purpose. You need to have individuals that you will call your dream team. If I'm to ask you, you know, many of you who have tuned in today and you are listening, if I'm to ask you, who are your dream team? Whatever endeavor, it could be in your life, it could be in your business, it could be in whatever vision or whatever dream that you are building. Okay? The question I want to ask you are, who are in your dream team? Can you look around and find out the quality of individuals in your dream team? They go a long way to determine the quality of that dream, the quality of your future, and ultimately the quality of your destiny. So it means that it is an aspect of your life you must not joke with. Let me begin to summarize it by, looking at what happened in the Garden of Eden. You know, when God came to Adam, and he said it's not good for a man to be alone. He said that I'm going to make him a helpmate suitable for him. Okay, so first he said that it is not good for a man to be alone. While from that scripture we have created the concept of marriage between a man and a woman, I also believe that it is also stressing the fact that a man is not supposed to be in isolation. Okay, so God has given Adam dream, he has given him direction, he has given him the capacity to deliver that dream, but he also recognizes that there is need for Adam to have a relationship that supports that dream, that supports the success of that dream, and supports him actualizing all that God has placed in his heart. And that was when God brought Eve. Okay, so you see that, let me say this again, many of us are suffering not necessarily because we don't have what it takes to achieve our dream, but because we are alone. You are alone. The dream is in your head, the idea is in your head, everything about it is all about you. It's all about you, and you can't go too far when you are the only one piloting the affairs of your dream. And if you are someone who multitasks, if you are like me and you have some multitasking ability, you might be tempted to do everything yourself. But the more I understand, the role a team plays in shaping organization, the more I learn to relinquish responsibilities. I learn to delegate. I learn to surround myself with people who also have the same skill, quality of mindset, so that all of us can share that dream and achieve it and push it to greatness. Okay? So he said that it's not good for a man to be alone. Let's make a helpmate suitable for him. One of the things I find distressing in that scripture is the fact that God had to use the word suitable. It means not all relationships are suitable. Okay? So not all relationships are suitable. Okay? It's good for you to have friends. Oh, this is my friend. This is my bestie. Awesome. Okay? But are they suitable for you? The reason for that is relationship comes with distractions. Relationship comes with things that can also lead to your failure. So if it's not suitable for you, it's going to lead to your distraction. It's going to lead to your failure. But if it's suitable for you, it's going to lead to the success of the dream that God has placed in your heart. And that is why it's very important to build relationships based on its ability, to meet the specific needs of the dream, the vision that God has placed in your life. And then, of course, your own life must be also suitable to the person that you are coming in contact with, so that as you help them build their dream, they also help you to build your own dream. Then we all come to the fullness, of the beauty of dreams within our community, which makes our world a better place. So when I was thinking about it, about 4 things came into my mind on how we can evaluate the suitability of your dream. Okay. Thank you. If you are just joining us, I would like you guys to, continue to share this link so that more people, can be part of this conversation. And thank you. Also remember to like and share and also subscribe. If you have questions that you would like to ask in the course of this conversation, please go ahead and drop it in the comment box, and we'll leave a few minutes for us to answer 1 or 2 questions in this live broadcast. So just go ahead and drop your questions if you have one. Okay, so quickly, let me share with you 4 things. There could be more. Okay, while I was thinking about it, there were some things coming into my mind, and I was trying to put it down, but I believe there could be more. Okay, but there are 4 things that a suitable relationship should be able to provide in your life. There are 4 things it should be able to provide in your life. The first one is that it should be able to provide emotional and psychological well-being. Okay, a suitable relationship should be able to provide emotional and psychological well-being. And what I mean by that, in essence, is that first, it must be able to inspire you. Okay, a relationship must be able to inspire you. What brings me to people? First is that when I look at them, their life should be able to inspire me. Okay, if you are somebody who is going to be close to me, share my space, share my circle, you must be able to inspire me. So that tells you that if you are having a conversation with me and I find you as someone who is very close to me, it means that there's something that you are doing that inspires me. Okay, and if you don't know, if you ask me, I'll tell you. Okay, but every relationship that is close to me has some level of inspiration. In fact, it has to be there before the relationship connection will even come in the first place. Okay, there has to be inspiration. Okay, every relationship must inspire you. The moment Adam saw Eve, the first thing that came out of his mouth is, he said, "This is bone of my bone, this is flesh of my flesh." Okay, you see, he started even singing and prophesying, because there is something that a relationship brings. And first, primarily, the foundation is that it has to be able to inspire. Okay, I find it also very important that even when people come together to, form a marriage relationship, if that inspirational component is there, it can lead to some future chaos and future misunderstanding. The 2 people in a relationship must be able to inspire. It shouldn't be one-sided. Must be able to inspire each other. It makes it grow stronger, and it sets a very good foundation for that relationship. Okay, so it has to inspire. We are talking about dreams now. Okay, so it has to inspire. It has to be some sort of a support system. Okay, relationships are critical for support. When you are building a dream, oftentimes you are going to face challenges. Oftentimes you are going to feel alone. Oftentimes you are going to question yourself. Oftentimes you are going to feel like giving up. You are going to feel like, why am I doing what I'm doing? Sometimes people think that, I'm always this roller coaster filled with energy. Well, if you see me every time, that's how I look. But in some of my solitude, quiet moments, there are times I'm asking myself, all these things I'm doing, is it even worth it? Okay, all this conversation I'm having, is anybody even listening? Does anybody even care? Okay, why not just save your time, save your energy, move on with your life? Those silent thoughts are there. And without quality support systems, where you will find people tell you, remember that thing you taught yesterday, it made powerful impact in my life. And you now remember, okay, if one life is changing, then it's simply enough to continue doing what you are doing. So one of the things that is very, very, very critical in this conversation is that you need to have people around you who will be able to speak positive words in your moment of weakness. When you are down, in your discouragement, in your struggle. Sometimes it might not necessarily mean that you are struggling or you are down, but the weight of the vision the weight of what you are trying to accomplish can be so much on you that there has to be some sort of support system. There should be people who will significantly, be a shoulder that you can lean on for advice, to lean on for support, to help you to continue carrying on that dream. Okay? When I'm talking about emotional and psychological well-being, it should be able to give you some sense of belonging. Each and every one of us need a place to belong. Each and every one of us need a place where we can identify and say, okay, this is my tribe. Okay, this is my sort of comfort zone. We all need that. Okay, that is where you find that your mental health, that feeling of purpose. There are sometimes, I don't know about you, you just have some ideas in your head, you are not sure how to go about it, and then all of a sudden you start talking or discussing that with someone, and the way the person is even understanding you and adding flavor to what you are sharing with them, it gives you some sense of energy. You see, we are a social being, and that social cohesion is very, very important for your mental health. Very, very important, to your purpose, in the sense that as you share with people, as you share with someone who understands what you are trying to say, who understands what you are trying to do, there is some sort of energy it brings into your life. Whenever I find such relationships, I never joke with it. I have friends, people have been friends for 20 years, more than that, and each time, even if we don't talk to each other for 2 years, each time we discuss, it's like I was speaking with my friend. He lives far away in USA. Most times we don't talk for a very long time, but each time we talk, it's like he said, no, so what are you doing here? Come over this side. No, so let's start this. No, so we should be. Whenever we talk, it's like, in fact, the other day we were having a conversation. He said that he feels like I'm the only one that understands him in the whole world. There are relationships like that. You need people who make you make sense. Okay? Dreaming requires some element of craziness. It requires some element of risk. So you want to do this, you are going to risk or waste this money. And if you don't have people who are there, to give you that sense, or give you validation, people who will speak to your self-worth. Sometimes you are looking at some things, you are not sure you can do it. There are people who will come to you and say, I know you can do it. Is it not you that did the other one? You did this one. That time when you were doing the other one, who do you know? You don't know anybody, but you saw how well you did it. You need people who give you some sense of, validation and self-worth. We don't live or exist for those things. But as a social creature, it's very, very important. Remember, it was not Adam that said it's not good for him to be alone. It is God that said it's not good for Adam to be alone. And we can't be wiser than God. If God understood with his wisdom and understanding, his infinite knowledge, was able to recognize that Adam needed a companion, you can't remove it from us. We are social creatures, and we need other human beings to make our life, senseful. And then, of course, joy and happiness. Okay, joy and happiness. When you are building dreams, you are often serious, you are often busy, and you need people to, add some, laughter, help you enjoy your milestone, help you, celebrate when you win, and not just, when you are struggling. You need certain kinds of relationship like that. Okay. The first one I mentioned was emotional and psychological well-being. So I just broke it down for you. The second part I want to mention is personal growth and development. A suitable relationship must provide learning of new perspectives. Okay? Someone was telling me the other day that there's something they want to share with me, a problem, but they don't know whether they should share. I say, well, like I tell everybody, like I tell myself, problem shared is problem solved. Okay? And some people will say, okay, but if I share this problem with you, how are you going to solve it? Now, let me say something to you. Solving a problem does not necessarily mean that I will provide a direct solution to that problem. Okay? But solving a problem most times is giving you new perspective to that problem, which opens you up to a solution. Okay? So you see, a mindset created a problem. You are looking at a perspective. Just look at it as two sides of coin. Okay? So when you are looking at one side of the coin, you are seeing a problem shaped by your perspective, shaped by your view. Not that you are doing anything wrong, it's just simply your posture. Your point of departure is able to see to some certain extent. And when you share, of course, you have surrounded yourself with wise people. We are saying this based on the foundation that you have surrounded yourself with wise people. And you meet a wise friend and you say, this is what I'm going through. This is my challenge. The person should be able to provide the other side of the coin and tell you, okay, you are seeing it this way, but there's also this side. In fact, it's not even a coin. Maybe it's another shape. So there are many sides to it. And the person begins to show you the different sides to them. And what happens is that as you listen, your mind begins to open. You begin to say, I never saw it that way. What is going on is that relationship is providing you an opportunity for growth. It's providing you an opportunity for new perspective, so that you no longer find yourself in that bottleneck, that place where you feel like you are stuck and you cannot make a movement. That relationship, a suitable relationship, should be able to help you have a pathway. Okay? It should be able to, help you learn new things, opportunity for learning, introduce you to learning opportunities, learning ideas, ways of thinking, new ideas of doing things. A suitable relationship should be able to do that for you. Okay? In terms of learning and growth, it should be able to hold you accountable. A suitable relationship shouldn't just be there because things are going well and everything. No, you must be able to hold you accountable. So when things are not going the way it should go, a suitable relationship will tell you, well, you are wrong. Sometimes some people don't like having, certain kinds of conversations because of how uncomfortable it makes us. Okay? But you need to have people in your life who are willing to have conversations with you that are not going to be very comfortable. They might be able to tell you, well, you are seeing it this way, you are getting it wrong. Or, well, there are people in your life that should be able to hold you accountable on your goals, on your plans, on the things, your expectations, things that you are trying to do. They should be able to hold you accountable, okay? And then they should be able to help you self-reflect, okay? They should be able to give you feedback. Okay, this is how you are doing, but you didn't do this one well. Okay, but you are doing this one, you are not doing it well. Okay? In fact, one of the things that shaped my leadership experience that I could really trace to a feedback was a friend. Giving me a feedback on my leadership and how I'm leading. And after speaking to me, I sat down and it made a lot of sense. Because remember what I said about perspective? I never saw it from that perspective. And I became a lot better in the way I lead people, in the way I manage differences within an organization because of that simple conversation. A suitable relationship should be able to open your eyes to reflections, hold you accountable, and then of course help you grow. The third one I want to mention is it must be practical and provide tangible benefits. So when I mean tangible benefits is that a suitable relationship should be able to mention you, should be able to mention your name. They are looking for somebody to do something, they will say, oh, look at this guy. They are not going to hide you. They are not going to, prevent you from shining or prevent you from showcasing what you have. No. A suitable relationship should be able to, mention you. When I look at different opportunities I've had to express myself, in different circles, different environments, it's usually linked to a friend of mine mentioning that if you need somebody to do this, you need this guy. And the person will call you on phone and say, I got your number with so person. He believes that you can get this thing done. I say, okay, wow, thank you. And most times you find out that you don't need to struggle to prove yourself because someone has already said a lot that needs to be said about you. Okay? So you need people who will be able to amplify, understand your strengths, understand what you are good at, and be able to help you, create networks and opportunity that will get things done. Okay? They help you in resource sharing. When they have information they want to share, when they get an opportunity they want to share, when they see something that is going to make themselves better, they call you and say, see what I want to do, in case you are interested. They should be able to help you, in information sharing. And then they should also be a safety net. A suitable friend must be able to provide security, okay, which is very, 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 very important. A sense of safety, a sense of security. Look for people who support you in terms of security, in terms of safety. Each and every one of us needs somewhere to run to. In our vulnerable moments, in our weak moments, when we are struggling, who is not going to judge us or try to tell us, okay, but you did this or you did that, but they bring you in and say, okay, it's fine. It has happened. We need to find a solution and we need to move on. That person must be able to provide that, okay? Somebody might be saying, maybe this person must be an angel, okay? Maybe you might not have somebody who embodies all those qualities. I believe there are, and it's possible. I have many of them around me. Let me also say that, the Bible says that he that must have friends must make himself friendly. I have also seen a lot of people who have, great expectations on relationships, but they don't offer the same expectation to other people, okay? So why I am mentioning these things, don't just look at the people you want to attract in your life that has those qualities. I want you to begin to ask yourself, am I this kind of person? When I have information, do I share? Am I a safety net and security net for others? Okay? When people come to me, can they get quality advice? Am I a wise person? Okay? Do I give out wisdom? If somebody is in a problem and they call me and they're asking what can I do, would I be able to provide an advice that is filled with wisdom and knowledge? Okay, so don't look at, the reason is that the moment you begin to develop yourself to become this kind of person, what happens is that you are also going to attract that kind of quality around yourself. When people talk about relationships, how people can betray, how people can do this, how people can do that, if you constantly find yourself in an environment where people are always betraying you, where people are always, they turn back against you and they don't look back, ask yourself, are you that kind of person? Because you seem to be the common denominator. That is not my experience. Sometimes people will tell you, I meet all these kinds of... I have friends who tell me, where do you get people you work with? Where do you get them from? A friend of mine called me recently. He said, but no, so we are all in this space. Where are you getting these people? And I laughed. I said, no, I'm not. I guess it's my energy that attracts the right kind of people around me. Okay? If you're a trustworthy person, when people see you, they know they can trust you and they are willing to build with you. If you can share, when people see you, they know, this person can share and they also want to share with you. If you offer knowledge, if you're a knowledgeable person, when people see you, they also know, I am attracted to this person's knowledge. What happens is that quality attracts. They say birds of the same feather flock together. So if you are thinking in your mind, how do I find these people? I'm asking you, are you that kind of person? Do you support other people's dream? Do you support other people's vision? When you see people trying to build, do you try to go and then you contribute? I always believe that I will never be stranded in life because I am intentional about looking at people who are stranded and looking at how I can help them to build their vision, build their dream. And I always find myself in an environment where people come and they want to build my dream, they want to support. Sometimes I might see somebody who is doing something in a community. I don't have to make it, I don't put it on social media to say, this is what I'm doing. I can just call the person and say, I like what you're doing. What can I do? How can I help? Sometimes it might be advice, sometimes it might be finance, sometimes it can be, because I am inspired to help this person build this dream. Are you supporting other people's dream? Are you supporting other people's vision? Are you making things happen for others? And the final one I want to mention, in case you missed it, the first one is that a suitable relationship must be able to offer emotional, and psychological well-being. The second one is personal growth and development. The third one is practical and tangible benefits. Okay, and then the fourth one is there must be a room for you to reciprocate. Okay, you know, I call it opportunity to give. Okay, so it means that relationship must be in a way that you can receive from the person and then you can also give. There is this power that comes, you know, when you are not just receiving but you are giving. Okay, it's not always good to find yourself in a relationship where you're always receiving. Somebody might say, okay, but if I can't really give anything to this person, I can only receive. You can always give something. You just need to be intentional about finding out what to give. Whenever I find that a relationship that is very beneficial to me, I go outside my way to think, what can I do? I am intentional. Now, sometimes when I do something for the person will be wondering, oh, so how did you know about this? How? Because I am paying attention. I'm trying to find an opportunity to also give. Okay, there's something powerful about a relationship where two people are able to give each other. They maintain that cycle of giving and receiving. It's not a good relationship if you are always receiving. It's not a good relationship if you are also always giving. There is something good. There is something good about you waking up and then you receive a gift from a friend. Okay, like I said, we are all social beings. Sometimes you might think, it's nothing, no problem. I can tell you, you know, sometimes when the Bible says that a man's gift will make room for him, yeah, it's talking about your skill, I know, but it's also talking about physical gifts. You're talking about gifts, money, presents. You know, you buy things and then you offer. Sometimes we have a negative idea. We want to think we can buy our way through relationship. You can see I intentionally kept this last to tell you that there are many other things that make relationship powerful other than giving. Don't go into a relationship and then you start giving. No, there are other things you offer. You help be a support system. You inspire. You know, you are there. You are involved. You know, and then giving is basically the last. You must find a way to give into your relationship. Okay, and then when you are giving, also find a way, you know, to make sure that the person who constantly gives you is also receiving from you. If you are intentional about it, it's not about for instance, if I had a senior friend, let me mention this. I have a senior friend that, you know, is very rich. He's a very rich guy. Okay, so I can't possibly give him anything in the course of giving things. Okay, I mean, a few times I could maybe want to buy expensive stuff, you know, but what I did was, I know he has a family, I know he has a wife. Okay, so what I do is that sometimes when I notice that the son is doing a birthday or that the daughter, you know, has an event, what I can do is that I can package a gift that will not be too, that it might be too small for him, but it's very big for his daughter. And then him seeing how his daughter appreciates the gift increases my value in his life. So he sees me as someone who is not just coming because they want advice or they need help, but someone who is also being intentional on how to add value. So what I'm trying to say is that it could be direct, it could be indirect, but you must ultimately make sure that you are investing in relationships. Okay, so this is how I'm going to end it, and I want you to write this thing down. Show me your closest circle, and I will show you where your dream is going. Show me your closest circle. Do you have a dream team? Do you have a dream team? You have a dream, okay. Where is the team that is supposed to help the dream come to pass? Okay, so it's not just enough that you have a dream. It's not just enough that you have built your capacity for that dream. You need to also build a team around your dream. Okay, thank you guys for tuning in. Anita Innocence, joining from Cross River State. Welcome, great to have you. Great to have you today. Thank you everyone for joining. So this is a live broadcast, but remember you can always share with someone who you know needs to hear this conversation. Please go ahead and continue to share. And if you have any question, you can quickly drop your question in the chat box, and then we can see how to answer that in the next 5 minutes. Our time is up, but if you have 1 or 2 questions, you can ask, and then we can respond to that. Okay, thank you guys so much for joining today. One of the things I would like to say before we just close out from this conversation is about our Transform Your Life e-course. We have a free e-course. We call it Transform Your Life. What we have done in this e-course is that we have designed a process. I call it the Transformation Compass. Okay, the goal of the Transformation Compass is that it will help you evaluate 5 key areas of your life that are important, okay, which is connected to what I'm sharing with you guys today. Okay, so what we are trying to do is to help you to look at your vision. Okay, so on the aspect of your personal purpose, on the aspect of your personal leadership, personal relationships, personal systems, personal outcomes, creating real and measurable transformations in your life. We have designed a free e-course that can help you to achieve that. If you've not registered for that, I will want you to, go ahead, go to transformersglobal.org/e-course, and then register. The course is for free, okay, and it's online. It means that you can have access to it anywhere you are in the world. Okay, it's good for some of you who are joining us maybe for the first time today. It's good that you join every Tuesday to listen to this, but I want you to be intentional in terms of joining this e-course, where you will, we have, when you join this e-course, it's not just the teaching. You will have access to ask questions, okay, and then you also have access to our ebooks that will help you put into action the things that we are discussing. Okay, so when we say personal purpose, discover and define your life's direction, we have a practical way of you going about it. Okay, we have a practical way of, many of us are not growing because we don't even know how to approach growth. Okay, you always hear self-development, something that, okay, self-development is going to buy books. Okay, you just need to read. Yeah, it's part of it. You need to build knowledge to empower yourself, but there is more to taking ownership of your growth and your personal decisions. Okay, cultivating useful connections that fuel your journey. We had a conversation on that today, but there is going to be a practical session on how you can be intentional in creating, the relationship that matter in your life, and of course, setting personal system, building habits and structures for consistent success. Okay, so I will encourage you to go and register for that course and be part of the training. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for being part of this conversation today. I'm happy you tuned in. I hope you gained something today. And if you are joining us for the first time, remember you can go to transformersglobal.org to get more information about what we are doing. If you would like to also join our WhatsApp community, when you join for the e-course, we will also automatically sign you up for the WhatsApp community. So I want to encourage you to go ahead, sign up. Thank you for joining. Remember to share